For the defense, what are the kinds of things that you would think they're looking for, or the kind of qualities that they might be looking for in the jurors that they will be using these strikes on, do you think?
So each side wants someone that's going to help support their case. So when we look at it from the defense perspective, what is their defense? Their defense is this is his private life. He had a lifestyle and that it was consensual. So from that standpoint, the defense wants potential jurors that are open-minded, that understand that people have different types of relationships, that maybe has been married a few times, that has different jobs, and can understand this perspective, and also potentially that idolizes someone like him. From the prosecution standpoint of who they would want someone with a more traditional lifestyle that has the same type of job, that has been with the same kind of partner for 35 years. But it's also important to remember that they need jurors that are fair and impartial, because that is really key. He is innocent in a court of law until proven guilty, and so someone can't go into the courtroom and already made up their mind and say, yes, he is guilty, or yes, he's not guilty, based on the facts and evidence presented by the prosecution, and make a determination based on that. Tremendous amount of research. As someone who's worked on cases representing victims of human trafficking and working on trials, there is a lot of work behind the scenes. So it's important to remember from the juries that came up, they were given questionnaires beforehand, so they had all that information. Diddy has a jury consultant, and they go through all that information, find out about where people work, what they post on social media, what kind of news do they listen to, what kind of music do they listen to as well. So when they're going in today into the courtroom, they are very well prepared. They know who they want and who they do not want on the jury, because ultimately one person could change the result of this trial.
Joining me now to talk about this, Kelly Hyman, trial attorney and host of Unresolved, the Diddy Cases podcast. Thank you for being here. What were the concerns? Like, what could they have charged him with?
So he was going to plead the fifth. And so you plead the fifth because of self-incrimination. You don't want to say anything that's going to harm you. Now, what they could potentially charge him with was obstruction of justice. Also, they could charge him with tax evasion and bribery. So let's go back to the story of what allegedly happened. He was working as a security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel. There was this video that CNN published of Diddy coming out in a hotel. He was hitting Miss Ventura. And so Diddy allegedly paid him $100,000 to make sure that the video went away. So in regards to bribery, taking money for something in exchange for doing something, obstruction of justice for the fact that he was interfering, the security guard was interfering with a potential police investigation. He is charged with a RICO. He's also charged with sex trafficking and transportation across state lines. This goes to the heart of the RICO charge, because in a RICO charge, there's allegations that there was this criminal enterprise and that Diddy was the king of the enterprise. And so based on these predicate acts, and these are crimes that must occur in 10 years, such as extortion, such as bribery, obstruction of justice. And based on these alleged crimes, that the prosecution assert that Diddy should be charged and convicted of RICO.
They will try and establish that she was forced to do this, that she was coerced to do this, that she feared. Those are going to be key themes for the prosecution. For the defense side, the key thing is going to be consent. Consent is definitely going to be key, that she consented to this, that these acts were her choice. Another buzzword you're going to see is choice. It was her decision. And that also that she benefited from this, from financially. What were her motives from the defense standpoint? She was motivated by money. Powerful testimony from Capricorn Clark when she testified. She said that I was kidnapped. Why is that important to this case? So when we look at the superseding indictment, those are the criminal charges against Diddy. It lays out sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution, and RICO, racketeering. Usually you hear that type of charge in regards to mafia people. Crime families are charged. And the allegations are that she was in fact kidnapped, which is a predicate crime. In other words, there has to be some type of crime that occurs, such as arson and kidnapping. So by the fact that she said that she was kidnapped helps substantiate the RICO charge that is against Diddy.
So in regards to the material false evidence, the defense is asserting that Cassie Ventura lied under oath, which would be perjury. And why they say that she lied is that Cassie Ventura said that she saw this balcony incident. So this balcony incident was in September 2016, allegedly at Cassie Ventura's house, where Diddy held over the balcony, dangled one of Cassie Ventura's friends. And Cassie Ventura's friends testified to the fact that this happened and also had bruises as well. But Diddy's attorney says that during this time period, Diddy was in New York. So the prosecution knew this, but still let this evidence happen. And thus, based on these false evidence, the judge should rule that there should be a mistrial. She has been a powerful witness for the prosecution. She is the second most important witness for the prosecution. The first being Cassie Ventura, their star witness, who testified, Diddy's ex-girlfriend. But Jane Doe, she's going under a pseudonym to protect her identity, is also an ex-girlfriend of Diddy. And so she is asserting that she dated Diddy from 2021 through 2024, and that she had these hotel nights, as she calls it, that she helped arrange these escorts come to these hotel nights. She engaged in this, and that she did not want to do it. And this goes to the heart of the sex trafficking charge. It goes to the allegations of force, fraud, or coercion. And she's asserting that Diddy, who pays her $10,000 a month, he's still actually paying her $10,000 a month right now, that based on that money that she was paid, that it was a way to financially coerce her into doing these performances.
How significant are these instructions that the judge will now be telling the jury that they must follow in this case?
They are key because the jury instructions are a roadmap to the jurors when they go and deliberate. And what I mean by roadmap is it lays out each one of the charges: racketeering, transportation across state lines to engage in prostitution, sex trafficking, and each one of the elements as well. Also, the judge lets the jury know that ultimately they are the trier of facts. And what that means is they can weigh the credibility of the witnesses, because that's going to be key for the sex trafficking charge.
What did you see on both sides of this?
A tale of two different stories. From the prosecution standpoint, they told a story of Diddy as someone who used power, violence, and fear to get what he wanted. And from the defense standpoint, their position was this case was about love. This case was about jealousy. This case was about infidelity. And this case was about money. Ultimately, it's going to be up to the jury to determine whether or not which side that they believe. But it's interesting in New York that 95% of cases that go to trial in the Southern District of New York come back with a guilty verdict. It goes to the whole idea of this mafia, this crime family, this racketeering conspiracy. And that's what the defense really argues. This is a conspiracy, then why is he the only person being charged? Where are these other co-conspirators? The defense argues that no one out of the 34 witnesses that the prosecution brought to testify, no one said that this was a criminal enterprise. And so based on that, he should not be committed guilty of those charges.
And how long, is it unusual for it to take more than an hour or more for instructions to be given to a jury in a case like this?
That usually is about the time, because you have to remember the judge has to go through each one of the elements of the crime and explain that to the jury, so they fully understand what exactly they are going to look at when they go back and deliberate.